Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me just focus on, and Ms. Twigler, thank you for your service. Let me focus on obsolete committees. You're aware in July of this year, hearings were held on the federal advisory committees at the EPA, and they focused on the potential impact of President Trump's executive order on advisory committees. Based on the characterization made by many of my colleagues and their friends in the media, you would think this order was a death blow to science at all the agencies. In reality, this just seems like a common sense, nonpartisan way to eliminate wasteful committees. When this order was executed at your agency, do you believe it will have any consequences, negative, I guess, for the ability of EPA to protect the human health and environment?
No, I don't believe it will have any negative impact at all.
So that was a good move.
Yes. You know, to paraphrase President Reagan, I screw up the quote a lot. The closest thing to immortality is a government program once created. And I think taking a look at our advisory committees, the ones that were not required under statute to determine whether or not they still have a useful purpose for the agency, was a very important step for us to take. And I'm very pleased that President Trump asked all federal departments and agencies to undertake that.
So what he did is similar to what every business goes through, every family budget. You evaluate the things you're doing. If it doesn't make sense, you eliminate it or pare it down. If it does make sense, you go forward with it. So this has no impact, negative impact, in your opinion?
No, and while I can't comment on what we've recommended to the White House as far as disbanding FACA committees, I do want to clarify, because there has been misreporting in the press that we're going to do away with our Children's Health FACA. We just published in the Federal Register, I believe this week, reconstituting that FACA, so we are not doing away with the Children's Health FACA. I can say that. I cannot say which ones we've recommended to the White House, however.
And how many committees were affected by this?
I believe we had approximately 12 committees that were created, not by statute, but just by administrative creation. And we examined all 12 of those, approximately 12. And we examined those to see whether or not they should be eliminated. And we made our recommendations to the White House, and the White House has asked all agencies and departments not to discuss our recommendations until they've had a chance to review all of the departments and agencies.
So none of the agencies that were eliminated were statutory. It was all administratively administered or started out. And what he did was actually help. I would make the argument it would be helping the agency, wouldn't it?
Yes. I think every agency should periodically take a look at organizations like that they have to see whether or not they still make sense to continue. I think it was a very useful exercise. There were a couple of committees, to be honest, that we looked at that hadn't met in several years. So you have to wonder whether or not it's a useful purpose if they aren't even meeting.
Which everyday Americans do.
Yes.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, I will yield the balance of my time to Chairman Lucas.
I think my